It's time to rescue this wicked prospector from life in Prospector Showdown. I'll start with something I actually liked. The aesthetic is pretty nice, even if it's relatively basic, a good representation of a cargo hold. Now for the bad, it's literally just the past 3 maps mini-bosses stapled together, and Pete and the blacksmith have very similar attacks, so it just makes it more awkward. You'd think the focus would be on Pete, but as I already mentioned, the blacksmith is tougher and the gunslinger is the one with range. If it was me, I'd probably just have Pete come back but be more of a threat, a unique boss form. As is, it's easily the worst of the quote-unquote boss maps because they were never even designed to be bosses but mini-bosses. It's time to come crashing down and bombs away. I'm actually going to do something different and rank the boss fights differently because you probably don't want to hear me complaining about them being shallow. That being said though, this boss fight is weirdly easy, even for being the first real one. The 2 mini-bosses before were arguably more challenging than it. You pretty much just stand where you are, and when it starts to dive towards you, shoot it and it'll keep spinning out. The boss will attempt to shoot at you and even drop bombs on occasion, but if you just shoot it before it gets to you, it's incredibly easy. I know that sounds weird to say in a game with a very young audience, but it's barely a notch above the normal enemies unless maybe you're rocking the PS1 version and don't have DualShock. It's time to make the Emperor catch some lasers in the face of the evil Emperor Zurg. This boss fight is sort of a shame because the idea of an Emperor Zurg fight has potential. See also the End movie video game. In practice though, it's pretty lackluster. The only thing that really sticks out is him sometimes firing green balls that home in and have to be spun away. I know it took place on an elevator in the movie, but they've taken creative liberties before, and this just comes across as pretty dull in my opinion. This Buzz doesn't even fight him in the movie. Probably the most noteworthy thing is there's a frame rate bug that makes him difficult to beat on the PC version and newer OSs without a patch. It's not a terrible boss, he gets the job done, but it feels like wasted potential, and if you search your feelings, you'll know it to be true. It's time to clear the gutters in slime time. I'll admit it can be trickier than bombs away, but not by a whole lot. It's pretty much mashing the laser and maybe spinning for goo projectiles. The first time it was actually destroying me because I was trying to play defensively and not realizing it just keeps growing back if you take too long. The one bit of mercy is you get what I call the hyper laser to quickly cut through the final part of the fight when it's at its biggest. That's pretty much all there is to the fight. It gets bigger each phase and jumps around and throws goo projectiles at you. It's very much a one-trick pony. The one thing I'll give it credit for is being tougher than bombs away, but I'd say they're overall both pretty shallow fights, and I'm saying that as the fight itself, not as an overall map. It's time to send this mothership crashing down below in Toy Barn Encounter. Easily the most interesting of the bosses so far, even if that's mostly because it has a lot of pods with random assortments of mook enemies in it. It's still more or less a massive version of the spaceship enemies when you get down to it just with a cargo load, but that does give it some variety. It's a boss that forces you to not use the same tactic throughout, since the shield enemies are only going down when you spin at them. I'm also biased because the space theme just fits well for Buzz Lightyear, so it seems the most proper for a game starring him. Still not exactly the most thrilling boss fight, but I'd say it stands head and shoulders above the rest so far, which isn't saying much, but it's something. It's time to stage a ground assault with a lawnmower in Andy's neighborhood. Now this one exchanges complexity of room amounts, with the main area being very vertically inclined, where you climb up to get a few things and take on the mini-boss. This is also the first of many that you can't 100% on the first go, since you need the rocket boots to beat the RC car without using some kind of trick. To say the least, they took some creative liberties given that Andy's house had no fences, nor did his neighbors, but you know how it is when you have to pad out a game. It's still pretty decent. You've got a platforming section at the neighbor's house with a pool and collecting the little army men. That being said though, it had the misfortune of following up on a spectacular star map, so it can't help but feel like it's coming up short. It's time to go crashing down a shaft in Elevator Hop. This game takes the idea of vertical climb to the extreme, given the good majority of the map is a huge elevator shaft along with vents and a couple of small rooms. It can involve a lot of waiting for the elevators to go up and down, but thankfully there are shortcut fans so you can get straight back to the top. Just make sure you get everything. The spider mini-boss is also pretty tough with the fans and fire, and there's a pretty cute vent race to get to a pizza planet token across gaps. The theme isn't the most exciting, it's an elevator shaft when you get down to it, but it provided a decent amount of entertainment with scaling the vents. It's at least something different, which is good for not having the game get too repetitive. It technically also appears in the movie too. It's time to chase after our flight in Tarmac Trouble. For the time, this map has a pretty impressive sense of scale with the massive runway, but in a way that's also a bit of a detriment. It's so massive that it can feel like it takes longer than necessary to get from one side to the other, but at least rocket boots are available to help. You can also hitch a ride on the airplane, and you actually need to get to a few different areas with suitcases and the mini-boss. The mini-boss is completely non-canon, a blacksmith, yet is significantly tougher than Stinky Pete while technically having a very similar mechanic. Overall, it's a good map. It has an interesting light puzzle, and Slinky's challenge to reach a token in time added a unique wrinkle to just grabbing 5 of something. It's time to avoid the rain in alleys and gullies. No trickery this time. You want to scale the vertical heights of this one and face the mini-boss, you've got to backtrack with a grappling hook. Of note, the map decided to take a page from the second half of Frogger with boxes and boards to hop across, and the Slinky Find 5 Things Fast is done in that spot too. The other area isn't nearly as exciting. It's mostly a bit of platforming to get to some balloons, and also Ham is there for his 50 coin tribute. So this map isn't exactly the most interesting one. It's another one that is pretty much filler and never appeared in the movie at all. Still, on its own merit, it's a pretty decent map with a pretty harrowing climb through electrical wires, and the concept of the massive rain droplets help give it a sense of scale. It's time to hammer some bolts in construction yard. This is some more creative liberties, probably inspired by the road cone scene, but instead it's a big set of girders on a building under construction. The nearby office provides some welcome contrast and even has a bit of a mini-game where you have to mix the right paints to get the colors to get a token. Even has a spin on the find 5 things because a different token has you finding 5 things, but there's also a time limit including getting back to him. The actual climb is also noticeably more challenging with hot bolts falling at your face and a boss that needs an upgrade to damage. Apart from having to wait for certain girders to go up and down, there isn't really much I can say against this map. It's pretty satisfying both for gameplay and aesthetic. It's time to run against conveyor belts in airport infiltration. As the penultimate room, this one definitely doesn't go easy on you if you want to get all 5 tokens, one room having platforming with seesaws and fans. Stinky Pete is also fought here like in the movie, though it's funny having him be a mini-boss and not even the toughest mini-boss, but more on that later. There's one particularly vertical climb enough to rival some previous maps just to get one of the passengers, which says a lot. It's not an unmanageable difficulty, of course, but it's very fitting as the penultimate normal map in the game. It may not be the most visually interesting map, though it offers plenty of variety in its rooms and challenges, but what it has is engaging gameplay and really tests your skills. It's time to investigate the basement horrors in Andy's house. Making the whole thing start in Andy's room was an obvious choice, both because of how iconic it is and the movie technically kicks off in there. Since they aren't ant-sized and the room can only have so much, it was smartly expanded into Andy's house with a living room, attic, garage, kitchen, and basement. Weirdly, there's a lack of bathroom, a bedroom for Andy's mom, but that's probably the 2 closed doors around Rex as he shouts for you so he can give you some random hint. It also demonstrates that every single level has a mini-boss unless it's a boss, and this one's a wind-up tin robot that's pretty easy but a good warm-up. For a starter map, it has a fair bit to do, from navigating toxic goo with a bubble to racing an RC car, and it fulfills itself as a starter level. It's time to confront some gaudy design choices in Al's Penthouse. This is another one where I must give in to my bias because it's the closest structurally to Andy's house while also having a really slick Wild West theme. It also has the most unique puzzle in the game where you switch tracks to guide a toy train to a dead end so you can push a box to where you need to get it. Unlike Andy's house, it also has a bathroom to solve the mystery of that, which you have to raise the water level and hop on sponges for one of the bunnies. Technically no bedroom, but Al just crashes on the couch in the movie and the Woody room might have been one once. Overall, it's a map that I very much enjoyed. It's got a nice aesthetic, a few good unique puzzles, and a very appropriate gunsling and mini-boss. It's time to grab all the chicks in Al's Toy Barn. I have to confess my bias because I absolutely love the theme of this map, both for the visuals and the music, and I always enjoy going back to it. I never could get to the Hail Bale the normal way with the swinging poles, but thankfully you can get there anyway with the rocket boots if you angle it right off the second jump. This is also another case of having to backtrack to complete it because you need the hover boots to get one of the 5 chicks, but thankfully you can get the other 4 tokens immediately. Even the mini-boss is pretty interesting, a dinosaur that shoots fire at you and you have to get around the green goop while fighting it. I know I'm biased in my judgment, the theme appeals to me and it has the right amount of challenge without actually feeling unfair at any point. It's time to help the mothership in Al's Spaceland. I'd like to think this would be the other half to Al's Toy Barn if it wasn't for the limitations of systems like the PS1 and N64, but maybe it was a design choice. If there's one thing this map has going for it, it's pretty good variety because you've got shelves, an arcade, and a mini-boss of Ultra Buzz and a mock-up of the moon. Probably the most unique is the part with a shield so you can navigate an aisle with Zurg and Buzz toys on opposite ends. Guess they're awake here and actively at war with each other. Add to it a claw machine to get a token, a rope race to get another one, and the little green aliens for yet another. It's got a decent amount to do. It also helps that it happens to be aesthetically even better than the Toy Barn. It comes across like Pizza Planet if it was a toy store. It's time to file an overview with Star Command. I love this game. It has a very nostalgic feel to it, like a twist on Super Mario 64 with toys and projectiles, and has its own unique series of puzzles. Many of the Pizza Planet tokens are technically the same basic mechanics, like fighting a mini-boss or engaging in capitalism, but each map does it differently. My biggest complaint is the bosses. They come across as mostly afterthoughts, even if some of them are more fun to fight, but the maps themselves are pretty much all gold. I placed Andy's neighborhood at the bottom purely because something has to be at the bottom, but even that was a very engaging map. If you can get around the boss maps not quite being all that good, it provides a great retro experience, and I still hold it in very high regard.